So originally I wasn't even gonna do this video because historically it doesn't really help our channel grow. Then I thought, it. I'm gonna do it for you, someone who's already here, invested in this channel, and I'm gonna do it for myself because doing these year in review type videos are an important way to document what happened in our business lives, our personal lives, and I think I'm gonna wanna watch this in 10 years. So let's get into it. Let's review my 2021 business year. Now, 2021 was a year. That's probably obvious because this recap video isn't coming out until February of 2022. So to talk about 2021, let's break down what happened in my business every month of the year. Let's go back to January 2021. That's when my fiance and I, Jalil, and he was my new fiance then, we just got engaged in November, but we were living in Mexico. And in January, we were living in San Miguel de Allende, which turned out to be a place we loved. January is also when I met this amazing hat, which would then go on to travel with me for the next 8 months. Looking back on January, it was actually a tough month for my business because in December, all of our Facebook ads platforms were shut down. I think someone just buzzed. BRB. I think it was the mailman for the building, but my Spanish is still a little rough, so who knows. January in my business was a challenging month because in December, all of our Facebook ad platforms were shut down. And that was because I was working remotely from Mexico, and this triggered a bunch of things in the Facebook system. They thought, well, this is fraudulent behavior, so they shut everything down. So this was the first month where we were trying to understand how bad this problem was. And I even considered flying back home to Toronto simply to log into my Facebook account and get these advertising platforms back up and running. Fortunately, I met some people in San Miguel de Allende who had a contact at Facebook, and they were able to put me in touch with someone at Facebook who was able to help me get my ad accounts back. And when I asked them what happened, they said, sometimes our system just glitches. February of 2021, we're still living in San Miguel de Allende, and for Valentine's Day, Jalil decides to take me to a ranch, this beautiful ranch with 300-year-old cacti all around us. And of course I brought my hat, and the hat caught the attention of Victor Hugo, who became our friend. And he later asked us to come back to the ranch to take some photos and pose as a newly married couple because they needed marketing material. But he asked us to come back, and we did this amazing photo shoot and ended up taking these beautiful images. Business-wise, February was another interesting month because right at the beginning of the month, I found out that one of my core products had been completely plagiarized, which I have covered in another video, but that was really derailing. At the same time, we were also hiring new people and onboarding them into the company. So again, another challenging month because our ads were just getting warmed up again after our platform had been shut down. I was dealing with the plagiarism issue, and we were welcoming in new team members. So every month is interesting. In March, I did this really big live presentation for Social Media Examiner. It was basically the equivalent of their social media marketing world event that typically happens in person in San Diego. So I felt like I had been invited to the equivalent of that, but this was virtual. So early March, I kicked things off by doing this live presentation for them. And then literally that same day, we fly to Puerto Vallarta, and that's where we spent March, living by the ocean. It was beautiful. There was one day where we went out on the boat to go to a cave, and on our way, we saw these whales that were, it was mating season. So the men were kind of showing off for the ladies, but these whales were breaching right in front of us, and it was just like, wow, nature is amazing. Business-wise, March was kind of a cool month. I ended up flying to Utah to film a couple of videos for a business, which were originally designed to be ads for our YouTube channel and our YouTube marketing efforts, but they ended up doing really well on Facebook and Instagram as well. So the rest of the month was spent doing internal things, especially because we had just hired new team members. So we focused on doing things like product audits and updates. April was an interesting month life-wise. We decided to leave Mexico and we went back to the States first before we were going to head back to Canada. And we went to Texas and then we went to New York. And on my 34th birthday, we found out that we were actually positive for the C, or the C, whichever way this works. So, you know, our symptoms were really mild. We really didn't know that we were sick until we had to get a test to show that we were negative to enter Canada. So the test came back positive. So we ended up spending 2 more weeks in a New York hotel. So that was fun. Business-wise, in April, we were really internally focused because we decided to rebuild my signature course, which was known as Instagrowth Boss, from the ground up. And so we were developing a whole new methodology, a whole new framework of how to teach Instagram marketing for business. And I refilmed everything within a day. From our Puerto Vallarta apartment, I just refilmed everything. It was the most intense, energetically depleting day, but I just wanted to get through it all. And we designed the course so that the videos would be more evergreen. So the idea was I filmed them once and the videos were not on topics that were going to change as Instagram changed. So, you know, it's been almost a year and that strategy has held pretty well. So I'm proud of that. Sales-wise, April also turned out to be the best month for us of the entire year. And that's because our ads were back to pumping, they were working, they were converting, and it was before all the iOS updates came in and changed the ads game for us for the rest of the year. May was kind of a weird month because we had to spend extra time in the US until we were negative and able to get back into Canada. So I felt like I was in limbo. We were just staying in these hotels and Airbnbs until we could finally cross the border. And that's where we had to quarantine again for another 2 weeks, thanks to Canada's system at that time. So we had another Airbnb rented where I was able to, you know, see my family again from afar. And after our 2 weeks were over, I was able to hug my mom again for the first time since 2019. So weird month. But internally, there was a lot going on with the business as we were continuing to build out what would then become Social Bank. And at the same time, we were preparing to launch it. Originally, our plan was to launch it in May, but things just took way longer than I expected. Of course, there was all the videos, the editing, the reviewing, and then there was the writing of all of the lessons, building out all the graphics, the images. So I underestimated how much time and effort would have to go into building that product. So that basically was my entire focus for May. June was another interesting month. It seems like there's a pattern here where every month was really interesting. In June, I had organized a brand photo shoot. I knew that I needed new brand images, and we were also working on a new website in the background. We had hired an agency and they needed new images to build this website with. So mid-June, I had this photo shoot booked. You know, I bought the outfits. I even worked with an outfit designer, planner. She helped me find some outfits that would match my brand. I found the photographer, the hair and makeup artist, my friend Jen, and we did the shoot, and I just felt like I could not wake up the entire day. And I was drinking coffee and it was like nothing was happening in my system, if you know what I mean, where coffee makes things move along. Nothing was happening and I just felt grumpy. And the very next day after the brand photo shoot, I looked like this. I looked like a truck had hit me. And I eventually went on a team call and I just said, something's wrong with me. My energy is not right. And we had a launch planned. Like we were supposed to do a 5-day challenge and then a couple live webinars. We had a big plan going on. And I said to my team, I just can't do this. I'm gonna have to take a back seat here and you're gonna have to take over this launch. So kind of a scary position to be in as a CEO, but I physically couldn't do it. I felt like I was burning out. And so after that, I went on a journey of cutting out coffee, which it wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. I didn't really have headaches. I was just really tired and grumpy for a couple mornings, but after about a week, I was fine. So I cut out coffee. I didn't set alarms anymore. I just allowed my body to sleep and rest. And I, again, let my team take over the launch so that I could rest and chill and spend some time with my family in BC and take some vacations. So I've covered this in a totally different video if you want to check out that whole story of what happened with that launch. So July, our launch got pushed to July and my team, they knew they were taking over the launch while I took a break. So my main commitment was to show up and teach the live co-working class. And then after that, Jalil and I, we got in the car and we drove around Alberta and BC. We saw some family and I just took it easy really. And my team, they thrived. They took over everything like emails, Instagram stories, anything to do with the launch to finish up closing our cart, they managed it and they did an amazing job. So it was a really eye-opening experience that, you know, all our hiring efforts that had happened earlier in the year, it was worth it. Our new team members helped us build this new course, and then they helped us launch it. While I couldn't really show up, I didn't have the energy. I just had to take care of myself. So big learning experience for me and kind of a pivotal moment for me as well. Oh, and our launch did really well too. It was our first official 6-figure launch, so kudos to my team for pulling that off. In August, after some more local travel around BC, we flew to Toronto, where our goal was to pack up our lives in Toronto, get rid of all of our things, and move to Europe. So I thought I'd be a lot more productive in August than I actually was. I underestimated how much time and attention my personal life needed in order to pack up my life. So I had big plans that month. I wanted to redo our evergreen funnel, which is where people can watch our workshop on demand. But honestly, I don't think I did much that month because I was busy dealing with my personal life, packing up, getting rid of things, saying goodbye to friends, and getting ready to move to Europe, which it kind of brought a lot of stress on me too. That month especially, I had problems sleeping, and it was like my anxiety was peaking at night. And the anxiety issues started for me back in June, hence why I decided to take it easy. But August was weird, and I think I just felt so unsettled because we were moving and we had been living out of Airbnbs and hotels for the last like 8 months. So I think I was just done with it. And yeah, there was a lot going on. So I really had to prioritize, you know, my bedtime routine so that I wasn't getting this like heart palpitation thing that was happening, which is what was keeping me up till like 2-3 in the morning. It was really unsettling. So August was like, I just need to get through this and let's get to Europe, and then I can like calm and chill. So told me that having a stable home and a base is really important for me. September is when we landed in Spain, and we landed here not really knowing what to expect without much preparation done. We'd rented an Airbnb, and a few weeks after we got here, I basically moved into launch mode because we wanted to run that 5-day challenge that we had planned for June and July. So again, I underestimated how much time I needed to actually settle in a new city, a new country, especially a country where I didn't speak the language, and I found that really intimidating at first. Now I'm working on my Spanish, I'm doing my Duolingo every day, but September was intense. Again, we were living out of an Airbnb, and we didn't realize that we actually needed to give ourselves weeks, maybe months, to find an apartment to move into. But meanwhile, with my business, we opened up registration for our 5-day challenge at the end of September. So I was preparing to host this 5-day challenge in early October called the Reel of Fortune Challenge. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe you joined us, but it turned out to be a lot of fun. However, I completely underestimated how much work it was going to be, again, while we had just moved to Barcelona. Why did we come to Barcelona? Well, I don't really have a good answer for that. I have my EU passport, so I've always wanted to live in Europe, and we had a couple friends here in Barcelona. So we just thought it'd be a good base, a good place to start off our European journey. So our initial plan was just to rent a 6-month apartment and then, you know, move on to a new city if we didn't like it. What ended up happening is in October, when I was running this launch, we had to find an apartment. So we ended up finding this beautiful home, and it was unfurnished, which wasn't the plan. So we found ourselves making more of an investment into our base here in Barcelona than we initially expected. So October, business-wise, I ran the launch. We had over 10,000 people signed up for the challenge, which was mind-blowing. That had never happened in my business before. And we had a ton of people join Take It to the Bank. It was an amazing, intense launch experience. And right after it finished, we moved into seriously trying to find an apartment here in Barcelona, which is not as easy as it sounds. It's a very challenging, competitive market. So when we found this place, it wasn't ideal because it's not furnished, but we decided to bite that bullet because it's so freaking beautiful. And it was honestly just the best one that we saw out of the 20 or so apartments that we looked at. So when we found this apartment, we moved on it quickly, and we moved in here October 25th when we had 0 furniture ordered except for the 1 bed that IKEA delivered the day we moved in. So for about the first week, we were camping out here with no furniture. We just had our IKEA bed to work from, and that was really hard on my back. In early November, we flew to London to see some friends, and while we were gone, our designer, realtor, now friend named Johan, he actually received all the furniture for us for our new apartment, and he set it up for us while we were gone. So he was literally an angel who set up our apartment, and when we came home, we had a livable apartment with furniture. And it was from that moment on that we started to finally relax and enjoy Barcelona a bit more. The first couple months, we were a little uptight. I was tense about this living experience, but once we had a home with furniture, it just changed the whole vibe entirely. Business-wise, in November, I spent majority of my focus running the Take It to the Bank group coaching program, and we of course did our own Black Friday sale because that was the theme of the program. We did our own Black Friday sale at the end of November, which was a nice boost in sales. We did about almost 50K in sales from that weekend. So December, the last month of the year, and something totally crazy and unexpected happened. Usually in December, you just ride out the end of the year, you chill, you don't take on any new projects. For me, no. So in early December, Jalil and I head to Valencia to check it out one weekend. And while we're there, our realtor back in Vancouver, who we had worked with over the summer to see if we could find an investment property, which we didn't, but she reached out to us while we were in Valencia, and she said, I found this home and it might be the perfect opportunity for you. It's an investment property, meaning it's already rented out, so you wouldn't have to find tenants. And the seller doesn't want to disturb her tenants with multiple showings because the Vancouver market can be insane. So she wanted to sell the home privately off market. Now, this is unheard of in the Vancouver market. It's one of the most competitive markets in the world. And so that night in Valencia, we looked at the photos and we put in an offer for this person's house. Now, there's one other detail that's really important here, and it's this: the seller of the home. And this might have compelled me a little bit more than it should have to buy the home. The seller of the home was Danielle Laporte. Danielle Laporte is a Canadian entrepreneur and author, and someone who I started following back in 2012 when I was a new university grad. I looked at my email history. I opted into her email list on December 5th of 2012, which was a few weeks before Jalil and I met. And it was the same month that she bought that same home. And she was like one of the earliest business inspirations for me, especially being a Canadian woman in the online space. And here I was looking at buying her home. It was just too connected and crazy to ignore. And so that was a big reason why I felt compelled to put in an offer. And then the next day we woke up and the offer was accepted. It was literally the easiest buying experience that can happen in the Vancouver market. House was not seen by us. I sent my parents over there who were in Vancouver. They checked it out for us, and we had to close this deal within 2 weeks. Our goal was to do it all remotely. So we didn't want to have to fly back to Canada to sign paperwork because you know what was picking up again at that time, the Omarion. So we wanted to avoid major travel at all costs. So it got a little interesting there. We were able to figure out how to transfer funds online, but we had to also get our documents notarized. So we took them to a notary here in Barcelona. They could not do what we needed them to do because it wasn't legal here in their system. So within 2 days of finishing our deal, we had to fly last minute to London, meet a notary there, and he was able to notarize our documents to satisfy the Canadian legal system. So it was a bit intense at the end there, but we made it happen. And as of the end of December, we became official homeowners of Danielle Laporte's house. Business-wise in December, I was not focused on business whatsoever. My team ran things, and I kind of dropped the ball on making YouTube videos and Instagram content because making this home purchase happen took all of my focus and energy. It was really hard to focus on anything else. Okay, so there is a month-by-month breakdown of 2021, but what happened big picture in my business? Now, I'll be honest, I don't share all the ins and outs of my business because I'm kind of private and protective over some of that information, but I do want to share with you our big picture objectives for 2021 and if we hit them or not. Our first objective was a revenue goal, and I'm not going to say the exact number, but it's in the 7 figures. And what we set our objective for was 20% growth from what we had in 2020. And what ended up happening is we didn't hit that growth. We actually ended up doing relatively the same kind of revenue number as we did in 2020. So we didn't technically grow. That's not a bad thing. Like 2020 was a banner year, and the fact that we were able to maintain that revenue is great, but ultimately we didn't hit our growth goal there. Our next business objective was to hit a certain profit margin every single month. That's about 35 to 40%. And so looking at what actually happened in 2021, we hit that profit margin for 7 of the 12 months of the year. So not bad, but not great. We had some months of little to no profit, to be honest. There were some scary months in 2021. I felt like 2020 online business just like went kaboom, especially in my space, because so many people were looking for resources based on, in-person shops being shut down and closed. But in 2021, it felt like our business saw more of a ripple effect of what could happen in terms of the negative side. So we did have some months of no profit, and I don't want to repeat that again. Our next business objective was to book 4 podcast recordings a month, meaning I would be a guest on someone else's podcast. So 4 times 12 is 48, right? Yes, 48. Math on demand. So I didn't hit this objective either. At the end of the year, we ended up booking only 20 appearances, so about half of our goal. Our next business objective was to hit 100,000 YouTube subscribers by the end of 2021. And this one, it hurts a little bit because we were so close. By the end of 2021, we were actually at 94,600 subscribers. So I know we slowed down in our subscriber growth because I stopped posting in December. I could have really pushed for hitting 100K, but now that you know, we were buying a house in the background, that took my focus, and for good reason. So we were so close, but we didn't hit that YouTube goal either. Our next big business objective was to hit 100,000 unique website visitors to our blog and website every single month. This is another sad goal because what ended up happening was in April, we decided to bring on an agency to help us rebuild a website. And for whatever reason, I thought this project would happen quickly, and I decided to stop posting new blog content. So we didn't publish any new blog content really for most of 2021. And our page views, they are sad. Like in April, they were up to 70,000. By September, they were down to 41,000. And by December, we had 12,000 page views. Now, part of that was a glitch because we migrated our new website in December and our Google Analytics weren't tracking right away. But still, like our numbers dropped from 70,000 to 30,000 by the end of the year. So now we have our new website up and running. Let's hope that we can still hit 100,000 users per month this year. Our next business objective was to reach 100,000 active email subscribers. So we didn't hit this one either. We weren't super close. By the end of the year, we had reached 77,000 active subscribers. What do I mean by that? Well, what I mean is we don't count cold subscribers. We actively remove and scrub our list for cold subscribers, meaning people who aren't opening those emails anymore. So, technically we did hit 100,000, but I also removed like 40,000 cold subscribers. So by the end of the year, we had 77 active subscribers. Honestly, I don't think that's that bad. I know our goal of hitting 100K is ambitious, and we'll see what happens this year. Last but not least, we had another ambitious business objective, and that was to reach 250,000 Instagram followers by the end of the year. I did not reach this goal. In fact, I didn't reach any of our objectives. By the end of the year, we had 170,000 Instagram followers, just under. So my growth really slowed in the second half of the year because I kind of slowed down on my posting and I just wasn't staying on top of like trends and making carousel posts and all that great stuff. So there's definitely like a level of insecurity and anxiety when you're an Instagram marketer who's not growing like crazy every month. And it's something we're constantly working on. So our growth is great, but at the end of the day, when I looked at our objectives for 2022, I thought these are good, but some of them are just too close to vanity metrics, like Instagram followers, YouTube subscribers. You can have those high numbers, but who of those people are watching your content, converting into leads, becoming customers? So in 2022, we're shifting our focus entirely away from vanity metrics, and we're going to go a layer deeper to make sure that our content is actually resonating with the right people. Before this video gets any longer, I'm going to wrap it right there. That's a recap of my wild and kind of fun 2021 year. I couldn't have predicted some of the things that happened. And because there was so much unpredictability, I feel like we actually fared pretty well. We didn't have to let go of any team members. And yes, there were a couple months in the red, but we had so much saved in the business that it wasn't ever a major concern. So overall, I kind of feel proud of myself, even though we didn't hit those objectives. Like I said, most of them are vanity metric driven, and we're switching our focus for 2022. So if you've made it this far in this video, I would love to hear from you. What was your favorite takeaway or aha moment that you received from this video? Again, I share these recaps more for myself now, if anything, because I want to watch this in a couple of years, but I'd love to hear from you. Were there any takeaways from me sharing how my year went? Let me know in a comment below. And if you found this video insightful or helpful at all, don't be shy. Go ahead and share it with your audience or with someone who could use it. If you enjoyed this video and you want to keep this recap vibe going on, feel free to check out my 2020 year recap video as well. I think there's a lot of insight to be gained from that video and what happened in 2020.